Brent pressed on. He eyed the tracks in the mud. They looked like a deer, but they weren't. Much too large. He shifted his axe in his hand as he kept moving. The baying of hounds picked at his ears. It was near. He licked his lips as he crouched low and hid behind the bush. Looking through the branches, he found a small lake and the beast. The noise grew louder as he saw the beast that laid on the ground. A long neck swayed above the grass as it moved to drink. Brent swallowed hard as he prepared for the fight. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today we are looking at the questing beast. Let's see what we can make of this bizarre chimera. The questing beast, or the beast Galasin, comes from Arthurian legends. Galasin comes from the French word galipsa, which means to bark and yelp. In French, the adjective comes after the noun, backwards from English. Yet, it has three different appearances over the years. That does tend to happen when legend is written over a few hundred years. The best known one goes something like this. King Hippomenes had a son, Galahad, and a daughter. His daughter fell in love with her brother and schemed with the devil to seduce Galahad. But it was all a trick. Instead, it impregnated the girl and convinced her that she had been assaulted by her brother, who was sentenced to death by being ripped apart by hounds. In his final moments, Galahad spoke a prophecy that his sister would give birth to a monster which would make the same sound as the dogs. And she did. Her child was the questing beast. In this version, the questing beast is said to have a head like a snake, the spotted body of a leopard, thighs and tail like a lion, and lastly, the feet of a deer. It is said to make a sound like 30 dogs mating. The sound comes not from the mouth, but from the belly. Some say that it looks like a giraffe, and about the same size. Later, it was seen by King Arthur as he rested by a lake. Eventually, the beast was hunted by the knight Palamedes, alongside Percival and Galahad, a different man, not the one ripped apart by dogs. When they killed it, it fled into a lake which began to boil. In the second tale, Percival found it by the lake. It was described as small and white. He watches as it gives birth to 12 offspring, which abruptly rip their mother apart and devour her before fleeing into the forest. In the last version from the 13th century, the questing beast is large, and again gives birth, but its labor is so violent that it bursts in two to give birth. It is said to have the head of a ewe, a fox's body, a dog's leg, and a lion's tail. So, we have three versions. What can we make of it? Is it the same species, or three different species? Well, they could be the same species, just in different stages of their life cycle. Small and white while young, then goes into the version we see with the more canine form, and lastly, the serpent-headed form. Except, it was the smaller version which gives birth as well as the larger versions. Does that mean they are different species then? Well, no. There is a lot of issues with species looking different under certain conditions, such as when there is an issue with food shortages during development. And why is that an issue here? How is it born? Violently, where the 12 young devour the mother, or is violently ripped apart. If the young are fighting amongst themselves, then the food isn't distributed evenly. So, the different forms could be dependent on how much they eat in their first few moments of life. Now, let's look at the birth. Are there examples of young devouring the mother? Oh yes. This is called matrophagy, and is very common in spiders. Now, we are going to get into some fun biology of food here. And first off, not all food is equal. With all food, there is material that you can't digest. Much of it ends up in feces. The fiber you get from plants, or cellulose, is one such example. You also have proteins and other compounds in your food, which is difficult to break down and absorb. This means for every food, there is a percentage efficiency. And guess what gives the highest percentage efficiency? Your own species. Yeah, cannibalism offers the most nutrients per meal, but raising the risk of parasitic and viral infections. You might think that macrophagy doesn't make sense. When spider young eat their mother, they grow faster and have a higher chance of survival, which is good, but the mother dies. Biologically speaking, most animals seek to pass on as many of their genes as possible to the next generation. So, shouldn't it make sense that the mother would want to not die and have additional litters? Or that the offspring would grow better under their mother's protection? Well, there are a couple of factors. One, additional litters usually have a lower survival rate. And two, there is difficulty in finding a mate. Now, we know that this is a species of sorts, but potentially only an original individual. Possibly, this is a species which undergoes parthenogenesis, or virgin birth. Basically, the children are clones of the mother. So, there is some logic in it, but questionable at best. What do you think? Could this be the answer? There may be another factor. How far is the pregnancy at the time of birth? What if the offspring are far enough developed and at big enough size that birth would already endanger the mother's life? Thus, macrophagy making more sense. What makes me think that the offspring are that developed? Well, the noise comes from the pups within the belly. They are already making noise before being born. Now, we can look at its anatomy, which is an issue, with the most popular and recognized form being the one with the serpent head. The others are much simpler to look at. Now, we have issues with the feet. Deer feet. Cloven hooves, a mark that is common in ungulates. Now, we have a serpent head, and due to the behavior of the young, we are looking at a predator. So, is it a bad thing to have cloven hooves on a predator? And yes, most predators use their claws to grapple and hold down their prey to make the kill. But hooves don't work for that. These kind of hooves are useful for difficult terrain and offer stability. Good for running in marshlands, similar to the lakes it was found around. Now, the questing beast does have an attack. It can swing its long neck like a whip, or draft to stun or knock down prey, or can wrap around it. From there, it can swallow its prey whole like a snake, in theory. But I don't know if it could actually wrap its neck around something. If it is a mammal, then no. All mammals have the same number of vertebrae in their necks, regardless of their size. Yes, a giraffe and you have the same number of vertebrae. Theirs are just bigger and leaves them less flexible. So, a predatory ungulate, does that exist? Sort of. Artiodactyls are animals which bear weight through hooves, which includes ungulates, pigs, hippos, and giraffes. But there is a suborder called Whippomorpha, Setancodonta, which includes hippos and whales. Now, whales are predatory, so there is a possible link. Potentially, the questing beast may be somewhat closer to them than other ungulates and ruminants. On that note, if it is a predator, then it probably wouldn't have a rumen like other ungulates. There is a final issue to address. When it was slain, it fled into the lake, which began to boil. Well, it probably wasn't boiling, but most likely, the questing beast's death triggered a pregnancy response, and it tried to give birth, which leads to the pups to thrash about and stir up the water. So, how do we kill the questing beast? In the stories, it was futile hunting it until Palamedes converted to Christianity. Since it was the child of a devil, you can see why God would be called upon to find it. So you might need to bring a cleric in your party. Regardless, it will be able to run quickly, which means you need to be ready for a charge, and it might benefit from starting on horseback. It seems to spend most of its time near water sources, lakes, and muddy terrain. It will be difficult to walk on and chase in marshy terrain. The questing beast lacks claws. It will need to either bite with a snakehead or swing its long neck like a club. The head can be blocked with a shield to stop the fangs. Plate and gambeson will also help, the latter being less effective. It could potentially puncture chainmail with enough force, but if it can open its mouth large enough, it may be able to swallow you whole. Here it would be wise to have spikes on your armor. Regardless, stay away from the mouth. If swallowed, you'll be hard pressed to crawl back out against the muscles push you down to the stomach. Get a sword or a dagger and cut. Go up for the spine to paralyze it, or down and hope to find the throat. Ideally, you want to just escape out of it before reaching the stomach. You could also use a noxious poison to force a vomiting reaction. Disgusting to be caught in, but better than death, right? Now, if it swings its neck, there will be enough force to send you flying to the ground. Best to avoid it. Drop low and under. But that will leave it open to slice the neck with a sword. If it can wrap around you, you messed up. But it can't swallow you without releasing you. That means it will try to suffocate you. Again, plate armor will be the best. Try to unwind the neck to escape, or get help. That is why you have a party. It could also lunge with its head like a spear. This would be a fast attack, but straightforward. Leap sideways to avoid it. This would only work if it had more vertebrae than a giraffe. If not, its neck will be rather stiff, and a mace could potentially break the bones and cause paralysis as well. Due to the legs, you can entangle them in a net or rope to force it to the ground. Icy terrain will help as well. It has no defense against an archer or magic. Use them to your advantage. Now, we don't know if it is a mammal or a reptile exactly, but most likely the former, which means ice magic will probably be the weakest option. It has little way to defend with an attack from behind, save for trying to kick. If given the chance, be aware of that option. Be careful. When killed, the young may try to eat their way out of the belly and attack. They will be small, with little threat, but there are 12 of them, and that alone creates an issue. While chasing or ambushing, spears, lances, and bows will be your best option, but swords when up close. But you could also set traps. Snares and pitfalls can inflict plenty of damage before the battle. You could also set up a perch in the trees to hide it and wait for it to pass. The questing beast is a bizarre creature to say the least, and it will take some skill to handle. Its best attacks are from the front with a long neck, but that also leaves it open to being exploited. So long as you can get past the neck and reach the body, then you can strike true and drive it back. That is why I am giving the questing beast a 4 of 10 for difficulty. With the right planning, you can slay this beast like the Knights of the Round Table did. What do you get when you defeat the questing beast? Well, potentially meat. What it tastes like would likely be similar to venison, maybe a little more fatty, but still edible. Salt and season to taste. You can also get plenty of leather to tan and forearm for various uses. Of course, This beast was slain as part of a quest, and if done for a lord, they may reward you for such a quest. Now, we know that the questing beast has offspring which are small, so could you tame one? And this is a maybe. We don't know how long its lifespan is, but if it is about the same as an ungulate, then there is a good chance that it can be domesticated, though dangerous. You could potentially use it as a steed to carry you forth, but will need lots of training. Brent rushed forward. The questing beast was surprised. The barbarian swung his axe as the beast did the same with his neck. Blade met flesh before the warrior was thrown aside. He scrambled to his feet as his foe lunged with its long neck. Brent dove forward and under the neck. He landed near the feet, which he swung at, his axe breaking one leg. Howling, the questing beast fled towards the water, where it collapsed. The water churned madly for a while before going still. Satisfied, Brent shouldered his axe and left. His reward filled his mind as he returned to the castle and the king. The questing beast is a strange creature, to say the least. It isn't evil, but symbolizes incest. It takes skill to best and handle, and was a worthy foe for the Knights of the Round Table. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next week, where we shall look at the Yara Mehahu. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.